Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles. I am so delighted to welcome back a New Filmmakers Los Angeles alumni. We have Nicole back with us, which is fantastic, with her movie Elle. For those that haven't seen it, let's take a look at the clip.
Call you as soon as I get there. Okay. You're dancing with me.
Nicole, I love the places you take us. Like, I really, really do. I love the film that you brought us in, this just beautiful, just friendship and relationship and the evolving of coming of age. It was so wonderful. But for those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis of Elle.
Well, Elle is a drama short film about the 16-year-old introverted girl who is struggling to express her feelings towards her best friend who's moving away the next day. So she basically has 24 hours to figure out how to express what she's feeling. And it's set in the 90s in Southern California. So yeah, it was not as easy back then, to express.
Well, I hope this never gets shared anywhere in the world, but I honestly went through a very similar experience of my best friend as well when I was that in the late 90s. So I can empathize with this, but I'm just curious for you. I thought this story was really great, and so much tension and emotion you have around that age anyway, and taking it back a few years too. Where did the inspiration come for you in turning this idea into a project?
Well, it's sort of personal. I was very interested in exploring, like this gray area or thin line in between friendship and love, because I often, when I was young and even now as an adult, I sort of found myself in that place where, I like getting close to people and close to friends and have this intimacy and sharing, who you are as a person and being very close. And so suddenly I got caught up in circumstances, either like me having feelings towards somebody or the other way around, that was a friend. And when you care about somebody, it's just tough to reject that person or to put the friendship on the line. And what's the right way to express it? Is that friendship going to end if you put your feelings out there and it's not reciprocated? So I was very interested in all that subject matter and exploring why have I been there, what am I looking for, and everything. So it was like a lot of questions that I tried to resolve in this little piece.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was fascinating. And again, I mean, it's quite a big jump when you really think about how we've changed how we talk to each other and communication technology. Like just a few years ago, it was a little bit different. You really did, it wasn't just, you could just hide in a phone, the way that we do, the way that young people seem to do today. And I thought the way that it was kind of portrayed of just that pressure you have at that age, and particularly, and during that time as well, I thought that was articulated really well. I do want to talk about the best friends and the ensemble, because they really all gave us something. I love that what their characters gave us. How was that whole casting process for you?
So yeah, I was, as you're saying, I was very interested in like the nonverbal storytelling, and this girl having to express something and not do it with words, but with action, at the same as her best friend responds with actions and not with words. So it's never actually said, and I was very interested in exploring that in the script. And then for that to be explored, I needed to find actors who could really communicate through their gaze, their face, their expressions, and their body movements, our corporality. So the casting process was sort of, I took my time, let's say. Like, I was looking, and we had a casting director her name is Erika Isabel Flores, and she helped me. We have a bunch of sessions, you know, we shortlisted some. The first one we found was Mason, the boy, the crush Elle has with him, and him with Elle. But with the girls, it took longer because I was like, okay, so in my main character, I'm gonna be like in her face, like the camera is gonna be on her all the time. So I really need somebody that could handle that and that could communicate that. So fortunately, like in our like third or fourth round of auditions, we found Sarah Sawyer. Actually, my casting director was working with her at a show or something. I forgot exactly what. And so she invited her. And I really liked her, and my producer as well. Actually, my producer pointed her out like from the very top, and she was like, my producer Gabriel Cordero was like, we need to bring her back for chemistry reads and stuff. I was like, you're right, because the first time maybe I didn't like went as extensively in the audition with her, but then as Gabby pointed it out, I was like, sure, let's see her again. And then yeah, I gave her a couple of, you know, some direction, and then she started going to where I wanted to, and then we cast her. And for the supporting role for the character of Sam, that was the most difficult one for me to find, and nobody felt actually super right. I had Sarah Sawyer, the actress that plays Elle, you know, have chemistry with several girls, and her and I like didn't feel anybody felt right until I, you know, was in a point of desperation and went into Instagram and started like looking for people.
Oh, wow.
And so I bumped into her because she's the girlfriend of one of my actors. He's Mason's girlfriend, the character that plays Mason. So I found her, and when, you know, my casting director asked him like, would she be interested, he was sort of like, well, she's never done this before, you know, she's a photographer, she's a model, she has her fashion line and everything, but she's never acted like in a narrative piece before. And I was like, I like that because I've worked with non-actors previously.
Yeah,
so I was like, I think that could play well overall because Sarah is an experienced actor. So I was like, it could balance their relationship a lot, you know, it could bring some naturality to it. And so we brought her in, they did the read together, and Sarah really liked her. And I think, yeah, like they got a great balance. I sent them off to hang out. They went like eating with, you know, for the whole VHS footage. I sent them together, and they just bonded a lot. And it ended up working really well. Sarah guided Ron through the whole rehearsal and improv process. That's more, you know, like actors with experience know a little bit better. And then yeah, I think they did a great job.
They did, and honestly, I found it so powerful that you know, it really wasn't, there wasn't much verbiage, you know, it was really, you know, non-verbal, a lot of reactions and you know, moments that you kind of left us in that were just, you know, told such a, you know, an important element to the story or a feeling. Like, how do you, I'm just curious, Nicole, like, when you're, especially when you work with non-actors or even, you know, any actors, when you're working with something where there isn't much dialogue, like how do you kind of let people play? Do you let them improvise? Do you give them any essence of direction? Like, how do you work with when you're just kind of working with the, you know, the moment, but there's how does that process for you?
Yeah, so well, in this one specifically, it's also about communicating with them. Like I sort of explained to my actresses that, you know, they just needed to let go and not try to communicate something, but just what they're feeling, right? Like not try to compensate and not try to play. Overall, with experienced actors, sometimes, you know, they have like their techniques, they link it to like characters they've played before, and I was more like, let's link it to a personal experience. You like the most natural you can do, it's the better for me. Even if you are thinking you're not doing anything, that's great. Like
yes,
just whatever feels real to you and genuine to you and like lifelike, you know, this is not a movie. Just
Yeah.
you do whatever you feel like without trying to
Yeah.
portray something specific. And so once they know that, they take that pressure off,
Yeah.
and so they, they're able to not be thinking, oh, I need to do this and that, or they just let themselves be. And in sort of improv, we improved a lot during the rehearsal process. We play, like, I was like, okay, this is like a sleepover, and you guys talk about whatever you guys want to talk about and do whatever you guys want to do. Also, for the party scenes and the dancing scenes, we
Yeah.
did
That's
a
so
lot
sweet.
of improv as well, because I was like, okay, you guys pick all the songs you want and you dance them off, like your favorite songs. And so they got used to dancing with each other and comfortable, because that was tough. Like, they needed
That
to.
was great. I love those scenes. It was really awesome.
Yeah, I was like, I want this song to feel like they've been singing it their whole lives together, and they know it by heart, and they dance with each other 1,000 times. So yeah, we did like these improv little parties with them and with the boys as well, because also, yeah, they needed to get sort of familiar with them. So we did a lot of improv, but then when we got to set, we sort of stuck more to the script. Of course, I was like, if you guys feel like changing lines or whatever you feel like, do it, no pressure. But they basically pretty much stuck to it.
Well, I love the party scenes and by the campfire, and just that nervousness of growing up and being around other human beings, or being with someone that you kind of like, and that whole kind of dynamic and how that works. It was just so wonderfully captured by all of the actors. But what I was curious, I was like, also, it felt like a really awesome location that you had as well. I really love the whole setting of the experience. Where was that?
It's close to LA, actually. I forgot the name as it is right now, but this is my AFI thesis film, and at
Yeah.
AFI we have a bunch of rules to shoot, and one of those is like we need to shoot in the 30-mile zone.
Oh,
We
okay.
can't like go further than that. So it was like close to LA. It was sort of in the outskirts, sort of. I wanted to portray the sense that this was like a small town in Southern California that they being like they grew up in.
Yeah.
So we needed to find a location that felt like that. And
Mhm.
also, I have these references, film references. I wanted like a very specific texture. And even though, of course, it's, set in the US, in California, one of my biggest references is a film. It's a Chilean filmmaker. Her name is Dominga Sotomayor, and her film is called Too Late to Die Young. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's great. And I love that texture. And even though it's like Latin American, I wanted to have a little bit of that on the
Yes.
film. And this location was so similar. If you watch Too Late to Die
Oh,
Young,
I
it's
want to see
very,
it now. I
very
really want to
similar.
see it.
Yeah,
What's it
like
called?
just
Too late.
Too Late to Die Young.
Too late to die young. Oh my goodness.
And so this night, it's set in the 90s, and I just felt like the whole ambience and the context and the textures were so nostalgic that I wanted to
Yes.
recreate that. So as soon as we went scouting to this place, I was like, it's so similar. It transmits that, like teenage nostalgia to
Yeah.
me. So we picked that location basically.
Oh, you definitely captured that. I'm glad you mentioned the texture, because it did feel extremely nostalgic, definitely, and it felt like you were going back into a sort of a realm not too long ago, but just where there was just a different feel and energy and how people react and treat each other. So you definitely captured that. But listen, it's pressure. Well done on making your AFI thesis film. There's a lot of pressure, I know, when you're making that. What was the biggest challenge you had in making that? Because I know it's a lot, and obviously one of the best schools in the world. But how was that experience, and was there any challenges?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's a long process, ever since you submit your treatment, it has to be approved by the faculty, right? So there's like a whole submission round, and you need to be greenlit. And ever since then it's a challenge. And so when you get greenlit, then you work on the script. It's like a whole year, and then you pitch, you make lookbooks, you pitch it in every class, in every discipline, like cinematographers, production designers, everything, screenwriters. And so your script and your story gets analyzed everywhere. You get a bunch of notes, and you need to learn how to take feedback, and from different backgrounds and different perspectives and different opinions. And so that's also challenging. But then when production comes, or pre-production, it's closer to production, it gets fun because you start scouting and making all the creative decisions as well. And so for me, one of the biggest challenges for sure was the casting, because, we were so close to production, and you need to deliver all the paperwork that involves casting as well, like who you're casting, who you're working with. And AFI is, on the top of that with the producer. And so my producer was like, Nicole, we're 2 weeks away from shooting, and like, you haven't like decided on the supporting character. It's so important. And I was like, I haven't found her yet. And so I really pushed it until I found somebody I felt really sure about and comfortable with. So that was a challenge, to have like my whole, cast all together. And then fundraising is also a challenge, because, shooting in LA is expensive. And
It is.
AFI really encourages to have sort of, like a very industry-based production. It needs to, you have a large crew. You need to do everything by the book and follow the rules as if it was, like a professional, like big budget production. So
Absolutely.
you need a big budget for that. So we also had to fundraise, and that was also hard. But then when you are already shooting, and then you're editing and putting it all together, and everything comes together in, like you're in the final cut. And then we did reshoots, which was also great, because we got the opportunity. I've never had this opportunity before, be like, oh, maybe this scene doesn't work as well. So we can rewrite it, we can reshoot it, we can change everything that didn't work, and the mistakes I made, or whatever. And we of course needed to fundraise again for that. so yeah, fundraising is definitely a thing. But after that, you just do the color and the sound, and everything comes together, and it's very satisfying.
No, I mean, it all comes together beautifully in the end. But it's really nice to hear the journey and everything that you go through, because I think, from the outside looking in, you think it's, everything's catered to, especially when you're in, doing your thesis. It's like, no, there's a lot of hard work that you put in, to kind of get all these elements together. And great job. Well, listen, congratulations on making your thesis film. It's so great that you're getting to celebrate with us at New Filmmakers LA and everything else. What is next on the horizon for you, Nicole?
Well, right now I'm working at a feature documentary. It's titled Stay Apart Together, and it's based on Spencer Tunick's work. I don't know if you know him, but he's this New York photographer. He's really big. He's been photographing the nude figures since the 90s. And he works in the public space. He wants to desexualize the human body, and kind of like go back, like pre-industrial times, pre-everything. And just normalize it. And so we started doing, he needed to shift his way of work in the pandemic context, because you can't put thousands of people together anymore. So he needed to figure out a way to reinvent his art. And in this process, we started doing this series that, it's really interesting, because it brings people together while staying apart with the COVID pandemic. And it's, a series of sort of installations through digital platforms that it allows you to get into people's houses and get to know them a little bit better, but still bring them together while being separate by the pandemic.
Oh, wait to see this. This is exciting.
Yeah, so it's great, because we've been doing interviews and everything, and we wanna, when the pandemic is over, we are getting all together to meet these people and shoot them in person and film the ending of the documentary. So that's exciting. And I'm also developing a couple of narrative features and a TV series based on Elle, actually. But that's early development still, but
that's great. I love it when because again, it's great when you can extend characters and story and develop. I mean, this is all really exciting stuff. Well, listen, well done. Thank you. I guess we're expecting at least 2 films a year from you now, Nicole. Like you set a bar now. So, but listen, no, we really obviously love your work at New Filmmakers. Thank you for bringing Elle to us. Really can't wait to see how that develops. And thank you again for your vision. Can't wait to see the speech documentary as well. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you for having me again.
Always. Again.